they're gonna start making what's next? They're gonna make gay marriage illegal. Why? Because they want men and women to continue to produce. So like that the gay marriage is coming up. NANI? Dynamite. Hey, how you guys doing? My name's Hero. This is the Identity Group. As always, I'm here to tell you about things I forgot to say last week. And if you're watching this, if you're watching like the cut up version of this, it's been 2 weeks since this happened. I am so curious to know what the world thinks of our current situation based on a 2-week-old piece of news. But it could be relevant, so let's get into it. For all y'all that don't know, Roe v. Wade has been overturned. 50 years of precedence has been overturned. And I don't know if I have the energy to kind of like fight this battle, because it's just like, man, y'all saw this coming. It's sort of like this ebb and tides of power. Like what I've started to notice from my time in the political sphere and just in my short, so I've been following politics since 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 7 years. What I've noticed in the 7 years, just the short 7 years of me watching politics, is that it there's peaks and valleys. If one party just stayed in control and had control the whole time, I don't think that it would make for the peak and valleys that we have. But if the wrong person's in charge when you don't want them to be, the world seems like it's ending. And this is not me shortchanging Roe v. Wade. This is me explaining that I am mentally tapped out. Maybe this is a good reason why I'm going on vacation, because I just can't keep up. I saw a post. Yes, I saw a post the other day that was such a bad take that my comment was literally that you would be wise. Like this person was saying something like, "This is Roe v. Wade is going to prove who has good pussy discipline and good dick discipline." And it was such a bad take. Like you can't be that blind. You cannot be that dumb. To which somebody quickly pointed out, okay, what if you were raped? What if it was incest? What if you were saying, there's so many things that go into factors. What if your life is at risk? What if it's out of your hands, right? And it's just something that guys, men have to, it's just weird. And no matter how you fall on it, religious, whether it's your whatever, if it's my body, the crowd that I would love to hear from right now would be the whole masking crowd. Oh, put on, I don't have to wear a mask. My face, my mask, my body. The thing that you have to be fully aware of is that we're heading towards a theocracy, right? Theocratic government. Government ran by religion. This is very dangerous because some people pray to Allah, some people pray to God, some people pray to Jesus, some people pray to Mary, some people pray to Satan. And when you have all those people trying to push, and this is once again my personal belief, all religion is gutter trash. All religion is good for is dividing motherfuckers up. There was actually a very interesting synopsis about this. That there's a belief that, actually Loki is God because not Greek mythology, but the whatever mythology Loki comes from, he had a whole plot where he was trying to steal a bunch of apples from Adam of Eden, which is oddly sounds a lot like the Garden of Eden and Adam. And some about back in Loki's theology or whatever, there's this belief that when he stole those apples, the gods lost their powers and their ability to stay alive for so long. The apples gave them longevity because Adam in the Bible stayed alive for 1,000 years because he ate that apple. So there's this story where Loki actually took over the gods, rewrote everything, and made it seem like he had always been there. It's so fucking funny to me, but it's just a story. It's your magical sky god. Whatever your beliefs are, take them to hell with you. But the moment they start to infringe on other people, that shit's got to end. And it's kind of crazy because it's this Supreme Court has really proven how just unprepared Americans, the founding fathers, were for the future of potential changes, because the whole check and balance thing isn't working right now. And there's this deep dive question that people really want to ask, which is, yo, why is the Supreme Court allowed to make these types of decisions for us? Like, why aren't these people voted on? Why are they lifetime appointments? Like, it really, when situations like this happen, it really shows the weaknesses of our system, and why you can't hold this document, this Constitution, to the letter of the law every single time. Because when they first wrote it, they wrote it with the mindset that black people weren't going to be involved, women weren't going to be involved, and that shit's crazy. And if you're talking about taking things back to the past, that's the quickest way to do it. So I'm interested to see like what the rebound is, because if we ever had a weaker person in our corner, which is the current Democratic Party, I don't know what's worse. Like Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic caucus respectively all did. Nancy Pelosi did a poetry slam. Joe Biden said Joe Biden fell off his bike, and motherfucking Democratic Congress went out and saying God bless America, continuing to perpetuate that whole God and state need to be one thing. So let's just get to 411, shall we? I hope I'm talking about the right story.
President Trump, on behalf of all the MAGA patriots in America, I want to thank you for the historic victory for white life in the Supreme Court yesterday.
Before we get into unpacking that, 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5, I don't know, 6 people in the Trump crowd, all of them have the shirts Blacks for America. Simultaneously, as this woman says,
all the MAGA patriots in America, I want to thank you for the historic victory for white life in the Supreme Court.
White life. Like, look at him sitting there gleefully too. Like, yep, I support this. June 27th. Today's the 28th. That was a day ago. Like, I promise you, I don't make it about race. It's just everywhere I look. You can't get no more racist than that, right? Like, that's the key. And this was actually something that it didn't stun me. It just took me a second to digest, because I always thought like Roe v. Wade was just about, like, when you sit down and think about it, why do a bunch of old white men care about women's vaginas? Like, why do they care? Y'all not getting none, so what do y'all care about? And I was like, oh, I had a real logical reason for this. I was like, oh, they're doing it because, you know, children continue the workforce, they continue to churn out tax dollars, which continue to pay them, and, you know, I was like, yeah, there's a logical reason behind this. But in reality, these white folks just out here trying to guarantee that these black folks don't outnumber them. They want that crowd differential. You can come join them, but you ain't allowed to run them. Because white people like this at least, are truly terrified of a situation where they're outnumbered by people they used to brutalize and make a mockery of. Because they actually believe, and they might be justified to some extent, that we would exact the same punishment they exacted out on the world. That's how they think. She is happy that white people will start to be born again, because we know white people get aborted at a higher rate. Maybe not at a higher demographical rate, but they definitely get aborted just because they're the sheer population.
Yesterday.
Her campaign says she missed.
It's crazy.
Her campaign.
It's crazy. Look at him. He's cheering. He woo, woo. She just said white lives. Just mindless.
Her campaign says she misspoke and stumbled while trying to say right to life instead of her white life. Her campaign also adding Miller has the most pro-life voting record in Congress. Congresswoman Miller is facing a high-stakes primary race tomorrow against another incumbent Republican, Rodney Davis. After this weekend's controversy, Davis said Miller's comments were part of a pattern of disturbing behavior and referenced a situation last year when Miller made an approving reference to Hitler.
Yeah, so that's who we got sitting. That's who we're sending. That's who we're sending to go represent us. Like, it's crazy. But where is this fear of this whole white life thing come from, right? Like, where's this whole white life thing? Because it really did throw me through a loop. I was like, what? They're worried about the birth rate. But this is actually a thing that spans multiple cultures. In China, this is something that was huge, where for the longest they preached the same talking point. And it's crazy because if we pay attention, we can see what history does. India and China both had the same theory about increasing their population as it proved that they had some type of superiority. Yeah, support. I can't say the word supremacy over other people just by sheer numbers. But we found out very quickly the sheer number of people you have doesn't matter when you're playing with atomic bombs, right? I drop a bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's what America did, and all those numbers and all those things. Now, none of that mattered. But what ended up happening, fast forward, is that they started to then have to limit the amount of kids you could have. And if you didn't meet a certain financial threshold, a certain quality of life, you weren't allowed to have kids. And if you had kids, they could come in and take them. But America is facing a little thing. Last month, the Census Bureau released the long-awaited 2020 population data showing that for the first time in the nation's white population declined across previous decades. Cue the fear of white replacement stroked by Donald Trump and many of the followers who advanced the culture war now stands at the core of our politics. So it's not a coincidence, right? It's not by accident. This is something that they actively preach, and it doesn't matter how you talk about it or how you go about it. As long as there's black people in this country, white people in this country will be outnumbered, because you can make something. It takes, you can't, if you put mixing a white and black person, no matter how you look at that kid's now black. That kid is a minority, and the percentage of his whiteness will continue to decline as they either continue to integrate with the black community, or vice versa. Now, there's certain situations where, you have your coons and stuff like that, but ain't no denying it, you're still black. In these situations where you're having black babies, that's a black person being introduced to your bloodline, and that's just how it is. Whether you reverse that, it's always looked at, and that's consequences of something that was brought upon by our culture, our society in America, where we put colors attached to everything. I think it was crazy. Someone mentioned this the other day, like on a passport or job application, like for the longest it would say just white. Why come they never say European? Almost to imply that they don't want people to know that, America isn't their birthplace. It's crazy the lengths that they'll go to kind of hide that lifestyle. But it's something of a culture war, and it doesn't matter, because what it ends up happening is it leads to weird things like this. Like people are now posting on Instagram about adoption. Keep in mind, adopting a kid in this country is probably one of the worst. In the adoption system, is a great thing to adopt, but it's the worst system ever. These kids are damaged forever. Like 400,000 just roaming kids. That number's sure to increase by 200,000 in the next 10 years, because a bunch of unwanted kids are going to be forced into that system. And then when you turn 18 and nobody wants you, they kick you out, and you just become a statistic in jail and another form of free work labor. But there was a group of people like this, and it's just weird. Don't do this. The amount of vaguely creepy looking white couples holding up signs that say "Don't abort, we will adopt your baby," while while more than 400,000, like I said, children are languishing in foster care in the United States. It's crazy. And like, look at the gleefulness. Like, these are the same people that go to Africa and try and find like a black baby. I don't know what the joke is here, but I'm assuming like something weird. Is that Nicolas Cage? Oh, I guess these are just the memes now. Hey, that's Dr. House. You look weird without your beard. Oh yeah, this GTA couple. She just got 20 years of jail. We'll talk about that a little later. It's the Beastie Boy. Wow, they still look pretty good. Oh my God, that's creepy. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just such a weird take. I actually like this one. This is funny. They have a great song that I can never think of, but it's just creepy. It's just creepy. But yeah, ultimately what we want to take away from this whole abortion thing is wrong, so on and so forth. But that statement about white replacement theory is what's next, because they're gonna start making what's next. They're gonna make gay marriage illegal. Why? Because they want men and women to continue to produce. So like, that the gay marriage is coming up, and then there's a possibility for interracial, even though it's so strange because Clarence Thomas is in an interracial marriage, but he doesn't think he's black. He thinks he's one of the good old boys. But I'm interested to know what's going on here. It's not even so much good. If you have a feeling about, if you think like a bag of cells is more important than a woman's autonomy to life, yeah, go fuck yourself. It's not up for debate. Not on my page.